I want to start now with the latest from Jessica Murphy, our reporter working on the story about the accusations of favoritism in the Liberal leadership campaign. I want to get your sense. I mean, we've already talked extensively on the network about allegations that they're favoring the Trudeau campaign. How are the various campaigns responding to those allegations or reacting to them?
Well, in this case, Daniel, a lot of the parties' camps are saying, look, we know in certain things, whether it's in this case, the Liberals having a robocall campaign, reaching out to all those voters potential voters who have failed to register and all that may indeed benefit the Trudeau camp. They're the ones having the hardest time registering their members, and possibly just because a lot of them didn't have email addresses, a lot of them were just address only, things like that. They faced a lot of hurdles. So they're saying, we do know that it will benefit our rival camp, Trudeau, but they're saying, you know what, we need to take this for the team. We're going to take one on the chin for the team. They said, look, no one in this case should be disenfranchised. We know that it's very hard right now for the party to gain traction and gain interest among the general population. So they're saying, even if it means it's not in our benefit, we need it in the long run for the party itself.
So they're not really disputing any allegations of favoritism. They're just kind of shrugging their shoulders and saying, well, we kind of have to accept that this is the way it is right now and this is the way it's going to be.
That's right. Certainly there's a little bit of grumbling and frustration. Some camps are quite happy. For example, Deborah Coyne's camp had supported the plea from the Trudeau camp to extend the registration deadline, and they actually also called for this sort of call-out campaign. But I certainly heard some grumbling saying, look, it's really tough with these mailing lists and mailing-only addresses that the Trudeau camp mainly had. It's hard on our resources. We can't really reach out to these people because we don't necessarily have the money to mail them information. It's far easier to email out potential supporters now that everyone has access to them. But they are saying in the long run, when it comes to this leadership vote, it's one thing. When it comes to the general election in 2015, it's another. And if we can get these people, these nearly 300,000 people engaged, well, that's a good thing. Nonetheless, it doesn't seem to be going that well. They have about 100,000 of those so far registered, and the deadline is, of course, approaching as of Thursday.
Well, it's not a large number, given that you had a potential of 294,000 people, and they've already admitted they're not going to come close to having that many people registered to participate. If the campaigns are unwilling to criticize their own party, so to speak, do they have any words for the Trudeau campaign and how they've acted or campaigned so far?
Not really, certainly not on the record. There is just, as I said, general grumbling, sometimes a bit of a frustration with the way things are going. Again, a little bit of a frustration, although again, as I noted, some camps are supporting the initiative, for example, that the party is doing. And again, they all do say if it's healthy for the party. But yeah, definitely expressing a certain amount of frustration at just, especially the amount of the paper forms that were given to the party at last minute with just those mailing addresses, not those email addresses, saying it was a strain on the party. It kind of messed with the rules. Rules were rules. We didn't, Joyce Murray's campaign, for example, Martin Cochon's campaign as well, none of them supported this original extension. So they're still a little grumpy about that whole thing. But again, they're setting their sights on 2015. Yeah,
and they'll have to share a stage with Trudeau one more time at least. I think we're carrying the debate next weekend. So
yes,
thank you.
And I'll be there.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Jessica Murphy.
You're welcome.
Now, for his perspective on the controversy surrounding the Liberal leadership process, let's connect with Sun News contributor and former Liberal strategist Ray Hurd. He joins us from Toronto. Ray, I have heard you on this very show say that the Liberal Party wants, the brain trust of the Liberal Party anyway, wants Trudeau to win this, and they're happy to see him win.
There's absolutely no doubt. But just let me put the record straight.
Sure.
When Justin was given an extended deadline of 1 week, guess what Joyce Murray said on Sun News? They're moving the goalposts. So she's been very clear. She may not have been clear today in response to your legitimate scoop, but she has been against it. Martha Hall Finley has. But I think today they probably felt that they'd already expressed their disappointment that the goalposts were moved. Now, accusing someone of moving the goalposts is a pretty serious charge, which I support, because that's exactly what they've done.
by granting the extension. And do you agree
but it's more than that? Hold on, Daniel.
Sure.
They said they had no problem registering their voters, and Justin said he had a problem, which shows what I keep telling you guys here on Sun. Justin's campaign is run by gong show bozos. So he does not have a good staff. He has millions of dollars, much of it collected from charities. He's the only guy I know who takes from charity. I give to charity. So once again, we are simply witnessing, with your Sun's story today, evidence that Justin Trudeau, who is probably going to win this, given his extension, is not really qualified, as his father was, to be leader of the Liberal Party or Prime Minister of Canada.
So we're looking essentially then at the Liberal Party, if I understand you correctly, making the same mistake that it made with Michael Ignatieff, handing him the leadership in a coronation. Now it's going to be, maybe they won't call it a coronation, but for all intents and purposes for Trudeau it will be.
And it's worse than that, though, Daniel, because if they hadn't given Justin the extension, the executives of the party could not have been accused of shifting the goalposts to favour Justin. So that was a terrible mistake. It soured the party, it stained the party, and it's a tragedy. And one day, these executives will have to be held accountable by Liberals for what they've done.
Is this going to lead to the kind of disputes we used to see between the Chrétien and Martin camps, the kind of divisions that were in the party?
I worked for John Turner, and Chrétien had a hatchet in John Turner's back every day I was with him. The Liberal Party has a tragic disability that it always eats its own kind. It was Chrétien being a bad loser to Turner, Martin being a bad loser to Chrétien. Martin abandoned the scene. Ignatieff was not the first choice. It was another person whose name most people have forgotten, Stéphane Dion, who took over the party. So this choice of a new leader is very important, and I would have preferred to have seen a level playing field and a fair race rather than one that's tainted by everything just short of being corrupt. I'm not saying it's corrupt, but it's close to it. It's thuggish behavior, and politics should not be run by thugs.
And just very quickly, in 20 seconds or less, does this handicap Trudeau when he eventually does take the leadership?
Oh, unquestionably, because the Tories are going to say he changed the goal line, blah, blah, blah. He's got to be careful, because the Tories are very good campaigners and they're pretty mean campaigners. And all of these mistakes, like one of the things he said that shocked and appalled me, he supports the Quebec language law, which is racist and almost Canadian apartheid. He also said, and people forget this, he'd rather live in a separatist Quebec than Stephen Harper's Canada. So Justin carries a lot of verbal baggage, and it's going to come back to haunt him, because as Michael Ignatieff can confirm, the Tories, when they attack you in an election, they play hard ball.
All right, Ray Hurd, thanks very much.
Okay, well, thank you, and I'm sorry I was so moderate today.
Never be moderate, please.